I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, September the 21st. If a lot of you are like me, when you was trying to learn how to ride a horse, you were busy kicking them and holding them back too at the same time, and I think that's kind of what's going on with this market. We need to give this market its head a little bit. That may be just because I was thinking about my dad all day on Wednesday, because he would have been 70 years old if the cancer hadn't took him 7 years ago. But that's what he would have said back in those days. Give him his head. Let's see what he'll do. And I think that's what we need to do, is just give this market its head. You know, we knew we'd come into the fall here with some pressure. We got a lot of market ready cattle. We got a lot of heavy carcasses. We got a lot of calves coming down the line. But our demand is good. Our meat's selling. These packers are making money, so they're keeping this harvest level up pretty high. And we've taken some lumps, so why should we stay down and keep beat down? I think we should see what this market will do. We've got a little bounce here. I don't think it's going to last all that long, but let's see what we can get out of it while we've got it here. But look at the board on Wednesday. Live cattle futures, the October, up nearly the $3 limit, up $2.97. 10 the day on Wednesday at $110.95. Feeder cattle October contract up nearly the limit too, same way, $4.47, just nearly the $4.50 limit, and it was the most gains there. The October was. We saw good gains throughout all the traded contracts. So, but your October feeder cattle ended the day on Wednesday at $157.27. But the fat cattle trade hasn't developed yet. I think we've got a good chance of getting $1.08. Why not ask $1.10 for these cattle? Every week we come in there and we hear about these early week bids, and they're always, you know, just shooting everybody in the foot. Why not ask $1.10 or $1.12 for these cattle? You know, get your basis back for guys. Get $1.12 and get $1 basis back on that October board. But I think realistically we can expect $1.08. The Fed Cattle Exchange come in on Wednesday morning there, just had a light run of 1,450 head there. They sold 3 pens on there from $1.65 to $1.675, and no more than the Packers are trying on that deal. I think 108 is well within grasp. And like I said, some of you guys that have fat cattle to sell and you sell on the average every week, on a week like this, doesn't it make you want to wish you were in the game? You know, in there working and getting down in the mud and haggling and wrestling like these other John Waynes and Clint Eastwood guys are, that are still selling their fat cattle on a negotiated basis. Don't you wish you were doing that too on a week like this, where you know you've kind of got some leverage here? They've already showed that they need some cattle, that they're already, you know, looking to fill some gaps that they have just next week. So they've got some, they need to get a hold of some more cattle. They've got a lot of captive supplies, but you know, I think we can sure gain some ground this week, and it would be a lot of fun. As you look at the feeder cattle market, real-time index based on an 800-pound steer there on Beef Market Central, late Wednesday sitting at 152.16, up 202. So we see how well the cash market performed on Wednesday there. It was quite a bit higher. You look at the cattle on feed that's coming out this Friday. Okay, I think it could be bearish. We need to get something to happen between now and Friday afternoon at 2:30 Central or 2 o'clock there. We need to get something done, because I think they've got this placement a little bit soft this time. Your inventory for September 1st, cattle on feed right now is pegged by those industry analysts at 102.7. The August placements they've got at 97.3. I think that's a little bit light. If you add up your auction receipts for all the weeks in August there that cattle come out in August, we're sitting a heck of a lot closer to 99. And we know we've got a few more cattle than we probably have the last year or two that are big enough to be called feeders and be placed there. I think your actual is probably going to come in a lot closer to 100%. So that's going to be a little bit on the bearish side. Tell all your friends and neighbors that we're looking for a bearish cattle on feed report, and then chances are we could have a good one, because it doesn't really matter what it is. It's just what it is compared to what they thought it was going to be, and they're doing such a poor job at expecting what the placements are and giving estimates on that. I think they're a little bit light here this come up, and I don't think it's going to be bad. 100% wouldn't be bad when you got more cows and a bigger calf crop, but I think it's going to be closer to that than that low 97 that the analysts have it at, and that would mean bearish. So we need to get these fats sold. We need to gain as much ground as we can there. You need to sell some more of these calves and yearlings this week while the market's up and everybody's got a lot of gumption to get in there and fire on these cattle, because the market is very good on all classes. Your marketings are pegged and were very good all of August. They're sitting at 105.8, and it's hard to miss those when you know exactly how many fat cattle that you slaughter every day. So just beware of that cattle on feed report, and that's just my guess and nobody else's. But you look at your feeder cattle markets on Wednesday. OKC West at El Reno had 8,900 head, counting the calves that they had on Tuesday. Look at the market, your yearling feeder cattle firmed to $5 higher, really just kind of firmed to $1 higher on the big steers weighing over 8, but most all your heifers, feeder heifers, and your lighter weight yearling steers were, you know, $2 to $5 higher anyway. Remember, the calves were a little bit soft, 2 to 4 lower, and I talked about how come I was wondering how that was going on. That's really just been down in the southern plains where guys are busy planting wheat right now. They're really not ready for cattle yet. You get around that, you get up in the northern plains and then further into the Midwest, you still see light calves selling very well. There's a lot of corn that kind of got dry in some spots, so they did a lot of chopping. That means feed. There's a lot of guys got a lot of feed. There's a lot of places to turn cattle out, and I think these stalker type calves should continue to sell well the next several weeks and well into the fall. I've been harping on it quite a bit. A big fat calf, especially a balling calf, a balling heifer calf weighing 6.5 or better, you better just put her in your freezer, because there's not a lot of demand for them. But just you need to add some value to these cattle, wean them, give these buyers a fair weigh up and a fair flesh condition. You know, you can't expect to just take all the good out of those cattle and get anywhere near the full market potential. But Dodge City, Kansas there, Winter Live, they had 3,200 feeder steers there, $2 to $3 higher, and just kind of like at El Reno there, the feeder heifers weighing under 750, $5 to $8 higher, over 750, $3 to $6 higher. You look at some individual quotes. El Reno, they do not fool around there. They're not the biggest sale barn in the country for not selling cattle. 294 head of steers there right before 5 o'clock in the evening. They weighed 897. I mean 900 pounds, guys, at 145. That's where our RTI was on an 800-pound steer just not that many days ago. But another market, Torrington Livestock Markets in Torrington, Wyoming, just after 4 o'clock there, 274 head of steers, weighed 848 at 164.75. That's your feeder flash for Thursday.